go
Actually,
again.
I can't believe you actually taking your, like, you not taking your L.
Let's go again.
You actually
I'm not
not
taking
taking
the
your
L
L
because you ain't walk away. Come on.
What happens when the hustle that made you famous starts unraveling your image? Ashton Hall built an empire on the back of a routine so intense it became performance. Art, his 3:48 a.m. mornings were a spectacle. Mouth taped shut, eyes wide with intent banana peel smeared across his face, and head plunged into ice water. It wasn't just about fitness. It was about control, power, belief. He sprinted shirtless through Dubai like a man with something to prove. And it worked! His content dominated TikTok and Instagram. He exploded from athlete to influencer, from coach to cult figure. The message was simple: pain equals greatness. His audience didn't just watch, they tried to become him. They bought his coaching, his mindset, his myth. But somewhere along the way, something cracked. It wasn't one moment, it was a series of them. A viral race loss, a string of excuses. Clients with questions, critics with proof. Every clip designed to prove his dominance was now replayed to question his authenticity. This is the story of how a man who sold invincibility got cornered by the very machine that made him. And what came next wasn't just backlash, it was collapse in real time.
You're supposed to walk away, look back, and say, yo, you slow.
I did that the second time.
Let's run
I
it.
did that the second time.
Bro, no, you didn't.
Because Ashton Hall wasn't just tested, he was exposed. What kind of person tapes their mouth shut before sunrise and calls it self-improvement? For Ashton Hall, that question wasn't rhetorical, was branding. He didn't just have a morning routine. He had a ritual designed for maximum impact. Every step was calculated. Wake up at 3:48 a.m., not 3:45 or 4 o'clock. Tape the mouth to train nasal breathing. Smear banana peel across the face as some bizarre self-care symbol. Dunk his head in a bowl of ice water until the pain sharpened his focus. Then sprint shirtless through city streets while yelling affirmations like spells. If it sounded ridiculous, that was the point. The extremes made you stare. The chaos made you scroll. And Ashton knew it. His body shredded and glistening moved. Like a machine. His eyes never blinked in videos. The edits were tight, the lighting cinematic. Ashton wasn't just promoting health, he was performing it. And the world watched. Followers turned into fans. Fans turned into clients. Coaching packages went live. Affiliate programs launched. Money flowed. But there was something fragile about a persona built on perfection. Because the second reality poked through the image, it would break. And the first fracture came from a challenge, he thought. Could it lose? What happens when the man who sells speed gets outrun in front of millions? Ashton Hall wasn't just confident going into his race against streamer ISHOWSPEED. He was cocky. He predicted an easy win, bragged that he'd dust speed without trying. And from a technical standpoint, Ashton had every reason to believe it. A former college running back with years of sprint training under his belt, facing a chaotic gamer known more for viral antics than athleticism. But what played out on camera was pure humiliation. Not once, not twice, 4 times in a row, Ashton lost cleanly, visibly, and definitively. Worse than the loss was the way he lost. On the first sprint, he tried to fake a foul, claiming the track was slippery. Next, he blamed poor footing, bad weather, and even astrology. Speed, meanwhile, laughed it off and danced across the finish line like a natural showman. The internet exploded. Clips were replayed, memes flooded social media. Ashton wasn't just beaten, he was exposed. And the narrative quickly flipped. Was this guy really who he claimed to be? Or was the myth already starting to collapse? But losing a race was just the beginning. The real damage came when he tried to control the story. What's worse than losing? Denying it when the whole world is watching. Instead of taking the L with grace, Ashton doubled down. In video after video, he attempted to reframe what viewers saw with their own eyes. I slipped, he insisted. My start was off. The track wasn't fair. At one point, his team even suggested he'd tied despite footage showing him clearly behind. Viewers weren't having it. Comments turned ruthless. Fitness creators called him delusional. Some even suggested he faked the entire challenge for engagement, knowing he couldn't win. What started as a playful rivalry spiraled into a credibility crisis. Ashton's entire brand was built on dominant sprinting faster, waking earlier, training harder. When that image cracked, every part of his persona was up for questioning. Did he even train like he said? Were his gains natural? Could he be trusted as a coach? Suddenly, everything looked suspicious. The jokes got sharper. His fans started asking harder questions. And as more cracks appeared, the next one hit where it hurt most: his business. Because the people who believed in him weren't just followers, they were paying clients. And some were ready to speak up. What if the man shouting no excuses at 4 a.m. was ghosting clients by 4 p.m.? Ashton's coaching business was supposed to be the premium package high-ticket mentorship. One-on-one calls, personalized game plans. But behind the hype, a growing number of clients claimed they got little or nothing. No feedback, no communication. Just invoices and silence. And when one content creator compiled the evidence and posted a video with screenshots and testimonies, Ashton's response wasn't an apology. It was a cease and desist letter, at midnight. The message was clear. Instead of resolving the issue, Ashton tried to bury it. That legal threat only made things worse. More clients came forward, sharing similar experiences. Accusations surfaced that his affiliate system offering 30% cuts for referrals was structured, more like a hustle funnel than a real support system. The coaching was a product. The brand was the bait. But if the results weren't real, what exactly were people buying? And if Ashton couldn't coach with integrity, what else was just a performance? The next layer pulled back the curtain even further. When a morning routine becomes a business model, who's really benefiting? Ashton Hall's content wasn't just going viral, it was engineered too. The formula was consistent: cinematic shot, intense expression, shirtless sprint, shout of inspiration, cut to client testimonial. Then came the pitch. Join my elite program, become an affiliate, change your life. The hustle was layered. First, he sold the vision, grit, discipline, transformation. Then he sold the system, and thousands bought in. But cracks in the system exposed a deeper problem. Many affiliate sellers hadn't used the program themselves. They were incentivized to promote it purely for profit. Clients received templated feedback. Testimonials looked suspiciously recycled. Ashton's Rolex, his Dubai views, the high-performance aesthetic, it all served the brand. But behind the scenes, the product felt hollow. Was this coaching or a high-gloss hustle? Fitness culture had seen it before: gurus selling shortcuts dressed up as success. Ashton's version was just better filmed. And while the hustle worked, for a while, one question lingered that even his fans couldn't ignore. Were his results real or chemically enhanced?
Normal physiology. Fitness veterans raised eyebrows. Some called it impossible without chemical enhancement. Ashton's response: he leaned into the suspicion. People should think I'm on something, he said in one interview. That means I'm doing it right. For someone who sold discipline, that wasn't denial, it was marketing. The ambiguity kept his name in conversations, but the implications were serious. If Ashton wasn't natural, then the transformation he promised through ice baths and affirmations wasn't just exaggerated, it was unattainable. His clients weren't just sold coaching, they were sold a fantasy. Critics began dissecting his old clips, pointing to suspicious gains and fluctuating muscle tone. The cold showers and early mornings became punchlines. AI-generated muscle was one comment that stuck. The image of Ashton sprinting shirtless at dawn wasn't just inspirational anymore. It was controversial, and the backlash wasn't limited to YouTube fitness corners anymore, because what started as internet speculation was about to hit the headlines, and real media attention was far less forgiving. The same engine that lifts you up can be the one that breaks you. Ashton's rise was algorithmic perfection. His videos ticked every box: high contrast, fast cuts, raw intensity, and a clear persona. He didn't just beat the system, he mastered it. But viral fame is a double-edged sword. The more visible you are, the more vulnerable you become. After the race losses and ghosting accusations, Ashton's content became ammo for commentary channels. TikTok stitches, Twitter threads, Reddit takedowns, all dissecting the man behind the hustle. And then came the trend no influencer wants: Ashton Hall exposed. Every old video became evidence, every scream into the camera a meme. Some creators compared him to a fitness version of Theranos selling science with no substance. His own brand language, no excuses, put in the work, was turned against him. One clip even compared him to a motivational Mr. Krabs. Loud, rich, and increasingly out of touch. But the most damaging aspect, even neutral fans started to question him, and just as the backlash peaked, the media finally stepped in with headlines that threatened to erase the myth for good. When controversy hits the mainstream, the damage multiplies. Fitness YouTubers can weather niche criticism, but Ashton Hall was now in the headlines. Complex Tuco, even niche PR platforms began running pieces on his downfall. Titles like The Rise and Stumble of Ashton Hall or From Viral to Problematic weren't just clickbait, they were real shifts in narrative. These weren't just online trolls. They were journalists, industry analysts, and brand strategists weighing in. And the consensus was sharp. Ashton wasn't just facing backlash, he was losing control of his narrative. One report highlighted how his legal threats backfired, drawing more attention to his ghosted clients. Another mentioned rumors of eviction notices and sponsorships pulling back. Ashton's silence didn't help. No real apology, no transparent breakdown, just more of the same morning routines, posted like nothing was happening. That strategy might have worked in 2022, but now every new video felt like denial. The grind was no longer inspiring, it was out of touch, and in the background brands started taking notes, because if public trust was falling, no sponsor wanted to be caught in the collapse. Reputation may be personal, but sponsorships are all business. As controversy surrounded Ashton, sponsors grew nervous. He once flaunted premium gear and tech. In his videos, watch brands, supplement stacks, biohacking devices, but now, those mentions were either vanishing or non-committal. Industry insiders began speculating, were companies distancing themselves? One energy drink brand reportedly paused promotion. Another affiliate quietly removed him from their roster. In private, marketers admitted he'd become too unpredictable to represent their image. For Ashton, this was a new kind of hit. Money had always flowed through his hustle model, but sponsorships were the multiplier. With affiliate friction and brand distrust rising, that pillar started shaking. Fans noticed too. Comments flooded in. Where's that watch collab? Or did they drop you? Each silence spoke louder than the slickest montage. Ashton had sold himself as a success machine. But if brands were backing away, what did that say about the man behind the sprint? And it wasn't just corporations questioning his value. His own community started showing cracks. When your believers start asking questions, the fall hits harder. Ashton's audience had once been fiercely loyal. They defended his routines, praised his discipline, and echoed his slogans. But now, even loyal fans were divided. Some refused to believe the allegations, calling them smear campaigns from jealous creators. Others began pulling receipts, posting timestamps of contradictions, sharing their own stories of disappointment. His comment sections became battlegrounds, half encouragement, half disillusionment. One viral comment said it best: "I wanted to be him. Now I'm just glad I wasn't scammed." That kind of shift doesn't come from haters. It comes from within. From people who once believed, from viewers who spent money, from followers who mimicked his lifestyle. Now they wanted answers. Instead, Ashton kept posting the same routines, same freeze-frame workouts, same slogans, and that silence more than any exposes what hurt his reputation most. With pressure mounting and trust eroding, Ashton had two options: face the criticism or run from it. His next move would define everything. What if discipline becomes a disguise for avoidance? Ashton had built his empire on routines that looked punishing: wake at 3:48 a.m. Ice baths, fasting, sprinting, screaming into the void. To outsiders, it was commitment. But to some, it was becoming clear. This wasn't just about self-mastery, it was about distraction. The tighter the control over his schedule, the more out of control everything else seemed. When criticism arose, he doubled down on content. When clients complained, he posted another workout, as if sheer routine could drown out consequence. But viewers started to see the pattern. When a business complaint surfaced, Ashton would film a new sprint montage. When a coach challenged his methods, he'd respond with another cold plunge. It was spectacle over substance. And the irony, the more he tried to prove his discipline, the more unaccountable he appeared. You can't sprint your way out of a scandal, and the mask of grit only works when the audience still believes in the man behind it. And just as cracks deepened, a new wave of criticism hit, one that questioned not just his methods, but his message. Don't when inspiration turns into obsession, the message stops serving the audience. Ashton's early content inspired millions: push harder, wake earlier, believe bigger. But over time, the line between motivation and mental pressure blurred. Fans began asking, is this healthy? Are we glorifying burnout? Ashton's lifestyle had no room for rest, no forgiveness, just non-stop movement, and for viewers struggling with anxiety, low self-esteem, or overwork, it hit differently. What once looked like peak performance now felt manic. Critics pointed out how many of Ashton's teachings lacked balance or science. Recovery ignored. Nutrition advice vague. Mindset just intensity. Repackaged. Some psychologists even weighed in, warning that his message promoted a distorted version of self-worth, one tied to output and pain. For young followers especially, this hit hard. Imitating Ashton became less about self-growth, more about survival. And the most damaging part? Ashton never addressed the concern. His silence turned discomfort into disillusionment. But one final blow was still on the way, the one that couldn't be ignored. What happens when the guru behind the screen stops? Answering the call, at the heart of Ashton's business, was the promise of mentorship. Real contact, real support. But for many clients, that never happened. Messages went unanswered. Group chats went quiet. I paid thousands. One user posted and never got a single reply. Another said his only contact came through a generic email, weeks late. The idea that Ashton was personally guiding transformations now looked hollow. And then came the screenshots, dozens of them. Missed calls, unscheduled sessions, refund requests ignored. When questioned, Ashton pointed to his team, but his marketing promised one-on-one time with him. The disconnect became impossible to hide. And when creators began compiling these testimonies into well-edited expose, the narrative was no longer in his control. He wasn't just a coach accused of overcharging, he was a mentor accused of ghosting. The illusion of personal connection shattered, and what Ashton did next would determine whether his empire crumbled or transformed in a digital world. Saying nothing is sometimes the loudest response. As his empire buckled, Ashton had a chance to reset, address the issues, offer transparency, pivot, but he didn't. No detailed statement, no accountability, just more of the same. Motivational videos, ice baths, and shirtless sprints. He acted like nothing happened. That silence spoke louder than any apology could have, because his audience wasn't angry at failure. They were disappointed by denial. That it became clear that Ashton wasn't going to change course. And in doing so, he confirmed what critics feared. The brand had outgrown the man. His discipline once felt magnetic. Now it looked like armor. His success once felt earned. Now it seemed choreographed. The grind hadn't saved him. It had swallowed him whole, and the final chapter of Ashton Hall's rise and stumble was now being written by the people who once believed in him. Ashton Hall didn't just sell a lifestyle, he sold a myth, one built on aesthetic perfection, raw ambition, and an unshakable belief in hustle. But myths don't survive under scrutiny. They demand perfection, they punish transparency, and in the end, Ashton became trapped by the very image he created. His silence, his sprinting, his shouting, all of it became background noise to a louder truth. The people who once followed him for guidance now followed him for answers. This story isn't just about it's a cautionary tale for a generation raised on grind culture, about the cost of branding discipline without empathy, about what happens when you chase virality harder than you chase value. Ashton Hall's downfall wasn't sudden, it was systemic, built one viral clip at a time. And now it's a warning echoing across the industry. If you build your platform on performance, be ready when the curtain falls, because eventually, every myth meets reality, and only one survives.